The Jia family is in deep financial trouble. Wang Shifeng and her husband Jia Lian have their own roles. She runs the household while Jia Lian handles external matters and deals with fellow nobles, which costs a lot of money. Jia Lian controls this money. Meanwhile, Shifeng manages the household expenses, and they keep their accounts separate. Jia Lian was once in a tight spot and once tried to borrow money from Shifeng, but she flat out refused. This got Jia Lian worried, and he said, "If only I could get another 300,000 or 200,000 from somewhere," which gives away some info. Why say another? It suggests he must have gotten that much before. This caught the attention of Rheology scholars. After a lot of discussion, the conclusion is that he must have received that amount at some point, right? Where from? It can only be from one place, Lin Ruohai. As we talked about yesterday, the matriach asked Jia Lian to go with Lin Dayu to visit her very sick father. During the visit, Lin Ruohai passed away, and Jia Lian helped Dayu handle her father's affairs. Lin Ruohai's family was loaded, but the novel never says what happened to his inheritance, right? So the meaning of the word another becomes clear. Of course, Lin Dayu is no fool, she's very smart. But she only cares about one thing, becoming part of the Jia family and living with Baoyu. So, money isn't her concern. So, it's safe to say that Jia Lian pocketed this money. Jia Zheng must have turned a blind eye to it, as Jia Lian and Shifeng are in charge of managing the household. That's why the word another gives this away. Now he's in a real tight spot, the financial crisis is hitting hard. So, when Yuan Yang, the matriarch's maid, showed up in Feng Jie's room, he spotted her and immediately told the maid next to him to brew up the best tea and offered it to Yuan Yang, treating her like a VIP. Yuan Yang is just a maid, but a pretty high-ranking one. She's the one grandmother Jia relies on, likes the most, and depends on for everything. And now that she's here, Jia Lian is treating her like royalty. Why? He needs something from her. He said to Yuan Yang, "I'm in a tough spot right now. There are a few things I can't handle before the end of the year. Can you help me by swiping a box of stuff from grandmother's room? I'll pawn it off. Don't worry, I'll settle the accounts by the end of the year. It won't get you in trouble. It's just a desperate need for now." We were all wondering if Yuan Yang could have done something like that, but she didn't say anything at the time. But then, the whole thing came out in the open. How did it happen? Well, it all started when Jia Lian's mom, Lady Xing, asked to borrow 300 taels of silver. Jia Lian said, "I don't have any silver, I really don't have any money to lend you." And that's when Lady Xing got really mad and said, "You've got the nerve. You can steal a box of gold and silver stuff from grandmother's room, but when I ask to borrow 300 taels, suddenly you're broke." Jia Lian was scared out of his wits when he heard that. How did this whole thing get out? Feng Jie heard about it, of course, so she and Jia Lian grilled the maids who were there at the time. Those maids were all kneeling there, swearing they didn't spill the beans. They were really put through the ringer, you know. Then, Ping Er piped up and said to Feng Jie that there was no need to grill us maids, because we didn't blab, grandmother already knew about it. You can tell what kind of person Ping Er is. Why would Feng Jie need to grill anyone over this? If Yuan Yang really gave Jia Lian a box of gold and silver stuff, Ping Er knew that Yuan Yang must have told grandmother about it. Yuan Yang wouldn't do something like that without letting grandmother know, so Ping Er deduced that grandmother was already in the loop. Ah, that comment really hit home for Feng Jie. It made her realize that she's no match for Ping Er when it comes to handling these kinds of situations. So, what do we see here? We see the smarts of grandmother Jia and Ping Er. Yuan Yang must have spilled the beans to grandmother Jia, and she acted like she didn't know and just took it away. And you know what? Grandmother Jia did the right thing. I mean, she's put you in charge of running the household, right? Now, in the middle of this big economic mess, grandmother Jia also knows deep down that openly giving you a box of gold and silver stuff is a no-go. It would just stir up trouble with another party, right? She doesn't want to start a fight between the two sides, so she just acts clueless. It's like, I'll help you out, but let's keep me out of it. Otherwise, if Lady Wang's Feng Jie comes asking for money, Lady Xing might do the same. What's grandmother Jia supposed to do then? It's better to play dumb. That's how Ping Er sees it, and that's probably how it went down. From this little detail, we can see a couple of things. First off, the economic crisis is serious if it's come to stealing grandmother Jia's bling. And secondly, Ping Er is sharp as a tack. No need to grill the maids. How could Yuan Yang keep it from grandmother Jia? If grandmother Jia knew, she would have given the nod, but kept it on the down low. That's how it is. The dream of the Red Chamber is really something. We'll talk more about grandmother Jia later. She's no ordinary lady, definitely not what we first thought when we started reading. There aren't many wise folks in the whole Jia family, but grandmother Jia is definitely one of them. As for Feng Jie, she's not exactly wise, just savvy and capable. In the past few years, Shifeng or Feng Jie has been running the household, but the money going out has been more than what's coming in, and things have been getting tight. Then, she had a miscarriage. It was right after the Chinese New Year and Lantern Festival, and she had to go through a period of recovery, which they call sitting out the month. During this time, Wang Shifeng didn't take a break from her duties. Even though she didn't go out, she was still calling the shots, managing things, and keeping herself busy. She didn't really take the time to recover properly during sitting out the month. And when it was over, she started having postpartum health issues that just kept getting worse, leaving her looking all pale and weak. Lady Wang got worried and told her to take a proper break and get better before jumping back into things. So, who did she call in for help? Lady Wang's first choice was Li Wan, because of her status. Li Wan, also known as First Lady, was the wife of Baoyu's older brother who passed away early, a guy named Jia Zhu. So, Li Wan became a widow at a young age, but she had the status of First Lady. And in the future, whoever married Baoyu would be called Second Lady, right? Wasn't she later called Bao Er Nai? With her status as First Lady, had to be called in to help. But Lady Wang also knew that Li Wan was always kind and generous to others, so how was she going to handle all those difficult and sly mother-in-laws and daughters-in-law? That's why they called in another person to help, Tan Chun. In this whole thing, Lady Wang really knows what she's doing. Tan Chun isn't her own daughter, right? She's born to Zhao Yinyang, Jia Zheng's concubine, but she's also Jia Zheng's daughter, just not from the main wife. Lady Wang called for Tan Chun, but she didn't feel reassured, so she went and found someone else, Baochai. It doesn't really make sense, because Baochai isn't officially part of the Jia family, so how could she manage the family affairs? But Lady Wang still called her in. She gave her 2 jobs. The first one was like, if there's anything I can't see for myself, you gotta keep an eye out and tell me. If someone's drinking, gambling, or causing trouble at night, you gotta let me know. It's like she's asking her to be a cop or something. The second job was like, if there's anything I don't think of, but you do, you gotta tell me. Just in case the old lady asks, I need to have an answer. It's like she's asking her to be an advisor. Baochai really didn't want to take on the first job, right? I haven't even been here at your place for long, and you're already asking me to be a cop. I'm gonna make enemies right off the bat. But Lady Wang is her close aunt. Lady Wang and her mother, Xue Yima, are sisters, so Lady Wang is actually Baochai's aunt. When her aunt talked to her like that, she couldn't say no and just had to agree. So, there's a new leadership team in place now, with Li Wan, Tan Chun, and Baochai stepping up. Wang Shifeng is taking a break for almost a year, and that's how Dream of the Red Chamber has this really exciting part called Tan Chun Manages the Household.